gentlemen, welcome to Boda Noms
G'day, crew.
2022.
How are we all doing?
Can you hear us? We are live from the stage at Netherworld. Yep.
Is that Aaron? Yeah, Aaron.
This is the synth chemist, the doctor himself. Loud and clear, baby.
Beautiful.
So, pretty excited about this.
Yeah.
We have much chance to practice and become amazing
Oh yeah.
arcade beasts within the next 6 months, as the tournament's not till September 24th and 25th. As you can see, we have 7 arcades, which I'm pretty sure is a record.
That's huge.
Yeah, so
We're not going to have too many arcades. Someone's going to have to be taken
yep,
out of...
well, 10's
yeah.
there. Oh, JT.
Oh,
Fantastic.
wow.
All right, fantastic. The envelope open. The
You're
envelope.
lucky I didn't get dressed just for you guys, but had you asked, I still would have.
Is the orchestra going to play your entrance music?
I got violin players just parking.
Would you like a drink or a beer?
I'd love it, dude, mate.
Would you like, mate?
We should all be waiting with bated
Any
breath.
good sours on? Is anyone else coming?
Just you and me, brother. Jimmy's gonna make sure that we do everything right. I'm prone to kerfuffles,
Yeah.
so yeah.
The second Battle of the Arcades draft.
Hell yeah, this is very exciting.
Were you at the last one?
No, I was not. No.
The last one happened in
Was it
the
2 years ago now?
Yeah,
Was it?
2020.
2020.
We
there we
carried
go.
the games list over into 2021.
Yep. Yeah, so we have right here the nominations. Just so everyone knows how this is going to go. We'll be drawing those nominations in a minute, but as Jimmy already said, we have 7.
I always get off Aaron.
We have well, I'm missing one. No, there it is. It's just hiding behind Netherworld. So we have 7 different venues, 7 different envelopes here, and they've all nominated 3 machines. The reason they've nominated 3 machines is that we don't know what other venues are nominating, and there might be a double up there. So in that instance, let's say, for example, I'm just going to pick one at random here. Here we go. I picked Flipped. Let's say we read out Flips. We'll read out their first preference, and then we pick out a different venue. The one underneath it will be Netherworld. And let's say that Netherworld's first preference is the same as Flips, then we just read out their second preference. And we do that until we've read out all of them. And then we have these 3 new venues. So welcome to Boda, the first time in Boda. Pinball Museum,
And work our way down to it.
Beercade, and Palace Arcade.
Yeah, so that's how we work with the preferences.
We get first pick, I think, as the winners.
Yeah.
The results from last year are up on one of those tabs on the computer somewhere.
There you go. So yes, Netherworld did win last year. We can have a little look at the results. So this is from the 2019, the final results. Last one was 2020. 2021, final results, there we go. So Netherworld won that. There was only 6 venues last year. Then we had Spacies. Spacies, just so that everyone knows, we have kind of a new arcade this year, Flipped, but there's been a little bit of deliberation between Jimmy and the owner of Flipped, and they're just going to take Spacey's spot. I think.
Essentially the same team.
Essentially the same team. It's probably going to be the same players. So unfortunately, they don't get a second pick, but they still have a pick just like everyone else. So it went Netherworld and then Spacies. Then it was One Up Arcade, then 1989 Arcade, followed by Game Room Essentials, followed by the Australian Pinball Museum. So we have one more this year than that one. So seven venues this year playing, which is very exciting.
Yeah, so unfortunately, between this year and last year, Game Room Essentials is closed down. So there isn't a South Australian team this year. However, we do have a return from WA. So we had a WA team in 2019, and now we've got Palace Arcades, and I hear that they're actually going to be doing a very interesting approach.
Ooh, what's the word on the street there?
I'd like to talk about Palace Arcades approach. Yeah, so Palace Arcade, they've got several venues in the Perth area. and they're going to actually spread out the competition amongst those 3 venues.
Okay.
So of the 10 games, each of the venues might only have 3 or 4,
Right.
and so you actually have to travel around during the
quite
weekend
interesting.
to play your game. So that's a really fun concept.
So
I
if
think
they're
that'd
hiring
be-
like a coach for all of them, just
You'd
shuttle,
hope so.
shuttle the
You'd
players
hope you'd
around.
have,
to
the
different venues?
shuttle bus.
Yep,
The
yep.
old RSL shuttle bus.
That's very beautiful. Cool. So
And
it's
so
about 22.
The rest of the teams, yes, we've got Flipped returning, One Up returning. They've all Pinball returning from last year, Pinball Museum. They played
Yep.
last year, and the newcomers being Palace Arcade and Beercade, our friends over at Beercade down in Sydney. They've just opened up this year, so it's really exciting to see them taking on a Battle of Arcades in their initial year. Several of the people at Beercade, they've previously played for Team 1989.
Right.
So they've got a bit of an arcade pedigree as
Okay.
well, those guys. So it'd be very interesting to see what they pick. Be
I
some
guess
very
that means there's
interesting
going to be a lot
things.
of newcomers playing this year.
Yes.
The individuals themselves.
So we've got so now
New faces.
this is the first time there's been 2 teams from Sydney.
Yep.
So 2 teams in the Sydney area, which is really great to see. They've got a lot of good arcade players. Hopefully we'll see them all come out of the woodwork.
Ooh, one can only hope.
Have you got any predictions for today? Any games you want to come up? Think might come up?
Oh boy, Point Blank might be nice. I remember the first photo that we did. My standout game was Tapper.
Yes.
I would love to see a return of Tapper. Other than that, it's really anyone's.
I believe it was Pixel Alley that nominated
Tapper, yep.
Unfortunately, that's an arcade in Victoria that no longer exists.
There you go. It is a shame when we have to say goodbye to a good arcade, but by the looks of things, we're saying hello to many new ones.
Yeah,
Just
well, it's a competition that's growing each year, but looks good now that we've got 7 teams this year. I think that's equal, if not a new record for the Australian comp. Well, even for the US comp, never had this many teams, so it's very exciting. Do we want to get started?
Well, I think the big question on everyone's lips is who, if any, is finally going to take down Netherworld? Ooh, three wins for Netherworld?
I reckon. So based on performance last year, I think the team to watch is going to be One Up Arcade.
One Up
But it all
Arcade,
comes
there
down
you
to the
go.
game list, right? The games list is out of your wheelhouse.
That's exactly
right.
right.
It can change things up, but we've got plenty of time to practice. The September 24th and 5th is the competition date, so we've got close to 6 months to train.
Yep.
All right, so
Plenty of time.
plenty of time. Any arcade can win it this year if they put in the proper preparation. So without any further ado, all right.
John,
so,
take it away.
Team Netherworld. Oh, you
you go.
sealed it.
Drum
This
roll.
is
Drum roll.
Serious. No tampering here, folks.
The very first game.
All right, on the coast of Netherworld picks Nightmare in the Dark.
Ooh, Nightmare in the Dark. Here we go.
Who came up with those? We're actually pretty good. Maybe not that one, but yeah.
There we go.
Alright.
So I spelled that correctly? I did.
Nightmare in the Dark, yeah. So for those that aren't in the know, that's a Neo Geo title. Fun
Brilliant
little
game. Love that game.
Fun little platformer, very similar to Snow Bros. If you ever played Snow Bros in the past, similar sort of concept. Great little hidden gem on the Neo Geo. All right. Our
Number
second
2.
nomination from Team Flipped up in Toowoomba. So Flipped generally go for like a golden age classic 80s game. So let's see what they've picked for us today. 1942.
1942. Little top-down aerial shooter.
One of the earliest sort of proper shmups of the shmup genre.
I love them shmups.
Yeah, I believe it's one of the first scrolling shooters. Prior to that, all the other shooters had been sort of in a cage, what they call cage shooters, where your ship doesn't actually move up and down, it just moves left and right.
Yep.
And
Much like the Galaga.
it's like Galaga and Space Invaders.
Yep.
It wasn't the first scrolling shooter, it was the one that first popularised the genre. And thanks to that game, that sort of paved the way for the likes of Raiden and yeah. All right, One Up Arcade. So One Up, their wheelhouse generally 90s shoot 'em ups and
A lot of fighting games as well, yeah.
So in the past, particularly when they've had 2 nominations, they've gone for a fighting game and a shoot 'em up. This year they only have 1 nomination, so it'll be interesting to see what their first choice is. And their first choice is Magician Lord.
Magician Lord.
So they've gone for a platform, another Neo Geo game. This one is a personal favourite of Stephen Holmes, the owner and founder of One Up Arcade. It's a great game with a killer soundtrack. One of the best soundtracks on the Neo Geo.
I do love a good soundtrack.
It's one of the earliest Neo Geo games. I believe it came out around 1990. It's a difficult game. It's going to be a fun one to learn, but it's going to be very tough.
Well done, One Up.
Their second and third choices, just to, for those that were interested, were Last Blade and Blazing Star. So that's back to their fighting game and shooting games. 1989.
1989, here we go.
So 1989's another team that's been in there since the beginning.
Yep.
They've been there since
Veterans at this
2019.
point.
They sort of mixed bags. Sometimes they'll pick games from the early 90s. Sometimes they'll pick games from the classic 80s. So they've got quite a great collection there. Ben Campbell being the owner of 1989. They've got two floors. Their bottom floor is a lot of the 90s games and all that. And then upstairs they've done it up like an old school American, sort of wood panel side, and that's where they've got all these classic 80s original US cabs. They've also got downstairs as well, they've got a little Neo Tokyo section, which is full of all their Japanese candy cabs. So let's see what 1989 has picked.
Here we go, drum roll please.
Sunset Riders.
Sunset Riders. I don't think I'm very familiar with this game.
Sunset Riders, I believe it's Konami.
Okay, yep.
So that's the one where you're the cowboys, and it's sort of like a beat 'em up sort of style game. But I believe you shoot. So yes, so it's been a while since I've played it as well. I've only played it a couple of times, but it's a great game.
You're not similar to like a Final Fight or a Double Dragon.
Yeah, sort of,
like that,
but instead of so you move in and out of the depth of the screen, I believe.
Yep.
But then you fire bullets rather than throwing punches.
Cool beans. Got Aaron there. The text screen is very small for Aaron. I think I might be able to pull up a.
And their second and third choices were Shock Troopers and Toki.
Ooh. Turkey?
Toki. It's a platformer game. It's actually a big favourite game of Jerry's.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Alright, here we go. We've got Pinball Museum. So Pinball Museum, they will get two selections. So Pinball Museum, Palace Arcades, and Beercade, they all get two selections each.
Yep.
If any of their first choice selections have already been nominated for the arcades, we'll go to defer to their second and third choices.
Let me just read out one at a time here. We'll go through all of them to get all their first choices out, and then we'll read
out their
second or third choices. Yep.
Alright, so the first preference of Pinball Museum is Snow Bros.
Snow Bros, there we go.
So we have Snow Bros and Nightmare in the Dark, so a lot of those skills will carry over between both games.
Fantastic.
We'll hold off their second nomination until we go to Palace Arcades in WA.
Slightly small. Running out of room.
Alright, Palace Arcades, first choice. Personal favourite of mine, Space Invaders.
Hey, there you go. You fools. That's an interesting choice there from Palace Arcade.
Yeah, so Palace Arcade, they're this is their first time competing in one of these competitions. They've got a huge collection of games from the 80s, 90s, massive collection there. A lot of really great original cabinets. So I'm not surprised that they've chosen a really iconic classic like Space Invaders.
Our next one, Beercade.
Beercade. All right, so Beercade. It'll be interesting to see what they throw our way. So based on some of the players out, I'm expecting to see probably something 90s as well.
Yep.
A lot of their players are good all-rounders, but typically early 80s, late 80s, early 90s games like Ghosts and Goblins, some of the Street Fighter series, Mortal Kombat, those games are really up on the alley there. So let's see what they've got for us. Ghouls and Ghosts. There we go.
Ghouls and Ghosts. Now, probably a good move considering that, fingers crossed, Team Netherworld's going to have Neil Cairns on our team.
Well,
who's Ghosts and Goblins
yes.
world record holder.
But so Mark Bell, who's got a stake in Beercade, he is the world record holder on Ghouls and Ghosts.
There you go.
So that's obviously, wise choice by them. They've got the master to teach them. Not only is he have the highest score in Twin Galaxies, he's also quite a known speed runner in the game as well. He's quite quick at playing the game.
G'day Jezza, how you going there, mate? It's Toki for the win. There you go. Got some excitement brewing over these nominations.
Alright, so for game number 8,
Yep,
we'll
so
return
this is the second preference for...
Pinball Museum.
Yep.
So they've gone for Raiden 2.
Ooh, Raiden 2, there you go.
So we've played Raiden, we played one of the Raiden games, it might have been Raiden 2 in the, we did play Raiden 2 in the first Battle of the Arcades in 2019. Netherworld's own Mike Coolican, he's quite good at that game. He's trying to chase a world record on that one. He's been working on that one for the last year or so, on and off.
Yeah.
And they're just out of interest, their third choice would have been Wonder Boy.
Wonder Boy.
Another great game. Alright, Palace Arcade.
Palace Arcade.
Second preference. Their second preference would be 1942. However, because it has already been selected, we'll defer to their third preference, which is Miss Pacman.
Miss Pacman.
So Miss Pacman, we played last year in Battle of the Arcades. It was nominated by, I think, 1989.
Synthchem's got to be happy about that.
So yes.
Apparently not. What a trash game.
And our last choice from Beercade, their second selection, also not quite a surprise, is Splatterhouse.
Splatterhouse.
It's
Love this game.
Yeah, it's another great game. It's another favourite of Mark Bell's down there. So I am not surprised with that one in the slightest. And had they had their first or second preferences already picked, their third preference would have been Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
Also not a surprise.
Yep.
So
That is a beautiful looking list of games.
very interesting list. So I think some of the departures that we've seen over the last couple of years has been a shift away from more of the 80s games. Like, so the US Battle of the Arcades was exclusively 80s games.
Yep.
And the Australian scene has always been a more mix of 80s and 90s. And we've seen over the last couple of years there's been about a 50-50 mix usually between 80s and 90s games. So this year we've got 1942. Snow Bros is actually 1990, I believe, so it's a nice game. So you got 1942, Space Invaders, Miss Pacman are the only three that I'd really classify as classic 80s games. The rest, even if some of them might have been not released in 1989, they're much more all that 90s sort of style. So I think, if I had to, at a glance, I think a lot of these games definitely play into the wheelhouses of 1UP, 1989, and Beercade. A lot of the players at 1UP are very skilled at games like Raiden 2. Aaron Hall often plays that we used to play at 1UP. He is the world record holder for a while, if not currently, on Snow Bros. Magician Lord, obviously Steven's quite good at that. Sunset Riders, I think, will be in their wheelhouse. Splatterhouse, it's it's a little bit janky, but it's a good game. It's still something I think they'll be able to learn pretty quickly. Nightmare in the Dark, similar to Snow Bros. Space Invaders and Miss Pacman are ones that they'll have to work on, I reckon. 80s games have typically been a weak link for them. 1989, they've also been quite good at 90s games in the past. And that team sort of, some of those players that have played for 1989 in the past will be making up the Beercade team as well, so I think we can carry that over to Beercade. So it's going to be a very interesting comp this year. Anyone's game, but very, very interesting and very eclectic list of games for 2022.
There you go.
I'm very excited.
And looking at this list, do you see any outstanding front runners in terms of the venues themselves? What do you think?
Any individuals, you mean?
Yeah. Like, we've talked about what the strengths of each venue. Potentially looking at this list we have now, is there anything that you maybe be putting your money on this early in the year?
I think expect to see guys like James Morris, who took out the individual champion last year, to come back swinging. You know, a lot of these games, if he hasn't played them before, they're games that are within genres that he does play.
Yep.
And he's the kind of player that will pick up any game, you know, very quickly if he sets his mind to it. He's a real great all-rounder. You know, Team Netherworld, some of us have been putting in some hours on Nightmare in the Dark over the last couple of months. Be interesting to see what scores the other teams come up with from there. It's a very fun game. 1942, there's some, you know, definitely some really skilled players up there for flipped. They're really good at 1942. It's a game I haven't played a lot, but you know, it's a nice, simple premise, right? But it's one of those really difficult to master games. Magician Lord, it's brutally tough. So I think that's definitely a real advantage to one up there if their whole team can learn that game. It's a game I know Stephen's quite fond of, so hopefully he'll be able to teach that to the rest of his team there. Snowbros, like I said, you know, some good Snowbros. A lot of people play Snowbros. It's a game that I haven't really played much at all. But I will.
You mentioned though it is quite similar to Nightmare in the Dark. How transferable do you think those skills are going to be for a lot of teams and players?
The general sort of spatial awareness of using the playing field is going to carry over, because the mechanics are slightly different in the fact that with Snowbros, I believe you have to throw snowballs, build them up into snow, and then push it around. Whereas with Nightmare in the Dark, you create the fireball and then you just throw it. But the concept of trying to combo all the enemies in one screen with the ricochet is the same. So having an eye for the pattern of the screen, that will carry over.
Okay.
And then you just have to learn the different mechanics and the scoring systems of both games.
Is there anything, can we rely on you for Team Netherworld this year?
Absolutely, I'll be there. I'll be putting my score for Space Invaders, don't you worry.
Is there anything in particular which gives you maybe cause for concern?
A few games, like, you know, I've never been much of a Pacman player, you know, did alright, last year, missed Pacman, it gives me more time to practice that one a bit. I haven't really played a lot, some of these games I have not played much of, but, you know, I think, be able to, you know, definitely keen to learn some of these games. There's no games there that I'd just say, oh, I really don't want to play that. You know, there's no Armadars this year. No Black Tiger. No games that make me just go, oh, this is going to be a chore.
Yeah.
It looks like a really fun list of games to play. Well, actually, Space Invaders is a chore, but I'll put up with that one.
I was asking if we could give a mates rates on training. So
that's the great fun part of Battle of the Arcades, is that it's all about the collaboration between players. So each team has specialists in each of these games, but no team is going to have everyone really good at all the games, or even one specific game. So it's really important that teams meet up regularly before the competition and they actually share hints, tips, teach each other how to play the games. And it's also a great part of the actual weekend format itself. It's 2 days of scoring, right? And a lot of that comes down to other players will coach other players throughout the weekend.
Yep.
And so, I found that, there are a couple of games in previous years where I've turned up, haven't played much, don't know much about them, but by the end of the weekend I feel like I've become an expert because I've had guys that have learnt them. And that's a great part of the team aspect, is you can have different players prioritise, they can do their research and learn all their tricks on a given game, and then they can then relay that to the rest of the team. So you can divvy up the workload. If you've got 6 players in your team, 10 games to learn, each player learns 2 games and then brings those skills back to the team.
And are we doing the pinch hitter again this year?
No, so that rule is well and truly out. It just muddled up. What it did last year is it didn't really make any difference for the top performing players, but down the bottom end it really pushed those players down. And so what we're trying to do this year is we're making it a little bit more simplified again, and we've reduced the number of point scoring members on each team to 6. So this year is why it's to encourage, particularly now that we've got new venues, and we've got, cities like Sydney have now, got 2 venues to play at. So it's going to make it a lot easier for those teams to gather a full complement of players and bring them up to the required skill level to be really competitive. So I think this year is going to be the most competitive year of Battle of the Arcades we've seen yet. even though last year and the year before were quite competitive
tough
as well.
Yes. But with 6 months to go until the actual dates, anyone can join in with Boda. So if you have a friend who's interested in arcades but doesn't, think that they're competent enough, with 6 months to go, anyone could learn any number of these games quite well, I believe. So I think it's a matter of getting in early, getting practicing, and just coming along on the day. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you're definitely going to learn some new tips and tricks for any of these games. As John said, we all learn together, we all teach each other, and we improve upon each other, I think.
Yeah, it's just a really great, it's great as well to, see, what players are out there from the rest of Australia. A lot of guys that I now, have met several times, and, I'm on online forums with them, and, I count these people as my friends. The first time I heard of their name, it popped up on a screen in Battle of the Arcades. I went, oh wow, here's another good player that's come out of the woodwork. Find a lot of players
and
that...
you see them come to the Australian Arcade Championship,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I can finally put a face to the name.
Yep.
And
So this year, the Australian Arcade Championships will actually be before Battle of the Arcades, which is a change in calendar than usual.
So if you want to do any sabotaging, finger breaking, any of that sort of stuff,
Do it at
you
the-
get in early and come to the Australian Arcade Championships and injure your opponents as best you can. Don't do that. Don't do that.
But watch out.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, it's 5 o'clock, so I'm going to start getting set up because we're doing our very first Brisbane Arcade Club, which is an evening arcade club that we're starting this year. It's going to be quite exciting. It's over 10 games. We're going to be streaming Burger Time immediately after this stream, so feel free to hang around. I'm going to go get set up for that. John, do you have any departing words?
No, just good luck everyone. Can't wait to see the big turnout for Battle of the Arcades 2022.
It's going to be a good time. Thanks all for tuning in, and we'll see you in 6 months. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, everybody. I'm not going to say goodbye, though, because we're just going to be here. But I'm going to need to walk away, so see you soon. Thanks,
See you,
John.
Tyson.
Feel free to keep chatting. Shit to do.
Alrighty. I'm in charge of the stream now. Yeah, so no Metal Slug this year, so that's the big one. So almost every year, except for maybe the first, we've had a Metal Slug game, or a Metal Slug-like game. Like last year, we had Demon Front in the mix, as well as Metal Slug 2, I think it was. In the past, we've also had Metal Slug 3. So this year, no Metal Slug. I guess you could say Sunset Riders is a little bit similar to Metal Slug, but also not really. So, very interesting game list. Not quite sure what to make of it. Definitely a lot of practice to be done for a lot of the arcades. A lot of these are games that not a lot of people play. Like a lot of them are classics. A lot of them are cult classics. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. It looks like a lot of fun though. A lot of fun over the next 6 months practicing these games. Miss Pacman, yep. That's yeah. That's all I have to say about Miss Pacman. Splatterhouse, that will be a good one though. Anyone's played Splatterhouse before? Basically, the premise is imagine an 80s slasher film, but you're the slasher. But for some reason, he's the good guy. There's a plot. There is a plot to the game. I can't remember what it is, but I think for some reason you're a good guy, but you wear a Friday the 13th style sort of mask, hockey mask, and you've got you can pick up all these weapons and you go around hacking up all these demons. So you're not actually terrorizing campers at Lake Placid. You're just fighting off all the forces of the occult to save your girlfriend or something, as is always the plot in 1980s games. I thought Demon Front was a good game last year. James Morris of One Up Arcade, he's currently got the world record score on that game according to Twin Galaxies. He posted that one earlier this year, so that's another one that good one to try and see if you can beat. He set quite the high standard on that game. 1942, it's a real classic, so that'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see what scores. There'll be definitely some people who will be putting up some very high scores on 1942. I believe the format allows you to play a 60-minute game on a single credit. For each player can play up to 60 minutes sort of thing. So there'll be some people who will be 1cc'ing 1942. There might be people that'll get a 1cc on Nightmare in the Dark. Like most of these games can be finished, and most of these games can be finished within an hour. The exceptions being Space Invaders and Miss Pacman. But I believe, if you really put your mind to it, every one of these games, you can complete the game well and truly within an hour. Most of these games in under half an hour. A lot of these games, even within 15 minutes, you can complete them. Whether or not that's the method to get the highest score remains to be seen. But there's definitely possibility for a lot of people pushing the envelope on the scores in a lot of these games. Well, you'd hope so. You'd hope that 1942 was a game that's popular with the players that flipped. We don't like to see arcades pick a game that the players go, oh, I think first year we played, I think Jimmy just, put in Frogger and Donkey Kong, which, alright games, a lot of people like playing them, but, it wasn't really strategic choices. Bubble, yes, that would be a great game. Who knows, you might see it come up in another event. There's another event just teased before by Tyson, so maybe keep your eyes peeled for when games just come out for that. If you're a Bubble fan, not giving you anything away. So I must have had a hunch about Palace Arcade picking Space Invaders, because I've got somewhere else to be after this. I didn't just dress up like this for the stream, but I did happen to actually wear my Space Invaders cufflinks. There you go. So it was very fortuitous. I wear my Space Invaders cufflinks, and one of the arcades picks up. That's the dream, right? Is that one of the new teams will just pick, I'll just go Space Invaders. It's a classic. Sure, there's no one out there who's really, really good at Space Invaders. It'll be a great level. Who can get past level 2 on Space Invaders? Oh. Do you want to come up and have a bit of analyse the games list with me? Here we go. Barrow's on the chat.
Oh, Barrow, what up, bro?
So no New Zealand team this year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So Barrow, you're just going to have to fly over and play for Netherworld. Don't play for Flip, please.
Who do we get condolences from? The guys from Replay in Tasmania said they really want to compete one year, but they couldn't do it this year. Who else did we miss out on? There was a couple of other invites that went out. There's another one.
The Townsville one?
Oh, I reckon we'll hear. It's probably worth stating that other arcades are welcome to join. They've missed out on nominating.
They can still
but if you want to compete in, if the Tasmania venues or Jason at Empire gets the games together, and maybe he will look at this list and be like, I can do that. I can pull that off. So yeah, he may yet jump in.
A lot of these games, I reckon, are quite accessible. Most of these games are featured on a lot of the multi-boards and the Pandora boxes, Game Elves, etc. So it shouldn't be too hard for these games to get up and running. I don't think any of these games use more than 3 buttons either, so most of these games are 4-way or an 8-way stick and 2 or 3 buttons, so nice simple setup for operators. Yeah,
no, very, very fun list. Yeah, that you're right, there's only, what did you say, maybe 3 classics? What year was Sunset, what's year's Sunset Riders?
You know? Sure.
It's pretty fun. It's
it'd be late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I reckon it'd be late 80s. It's a very, very fun game. You flying Barrow over for flipped there? I wouldn't blame you. And yeah, Raiden 2 is excited to see in. What are we going to have? I've got a Splatterhouse board, which is currently with Adam. So there's my Miss Pacman board.
Mark's still very upset he hasn't had a chance to get the wizard pin for Splatterhouse yet.
Yeah.
It's never been on the floor when
It's
he's
never
been
on the
here.
floor. So that should be good. Hey, Australian Pinball
Hey.
Museum! What up, buddy?
Wow, hey, what's going on up here?
Mate, we're doing noms. We're live, baby. You want to say hello to the internet?
Hello, internet! How do I get in
Yeah,
here?
get in there, bro.
Wait, what are you actually doing? Sorry.
No, we're doing Battle of the Arcades live nominations.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
It's going very well. We'll have to notify some of our regular games. Raiden 2, nice. Great, mate.
It's great fun.
Okay,
game.
fantastic. It was a great nom. Well done.
So,
There you go. The 10 games are going to be on the floor at Foot by tomorrow.
Wow.
Far out. I'm far out, Jerry. You're knocking me there, bro. I'm not
come
going to
on,
be able to
Jimmy.
do that.
Come on, Jimmy.
I am not
Pick
going
it
to be able
up.
to do that. We got that I got a 4-slot Neo Geo on the floor last week, but I just
Broke
take it
down
out.
again?
No, it had a really weird smell. It freaking stunk. I can't explain. It like stunk out that whole room.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm taking it home to air it out in the yard, and I will
Give it a hose out.
not hose. I think it's in the wood. But anyway, it's working. It's a 4-slot Neo
Yep.
Geo, LAI built, CRT. The picture's great. All 4 slots are working, but it smells. I wouldn't believe that. It's
So I've got 2
ridiculous.
Neo Geo games this year.
Yeah.
Nightmare in the Dark, Our Choice, and Magician Lord.
Yep.
Have you got a Magician Lord?
I'm pretty.
cartridge?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we do.
It's a fairly common.
Yeah.
'Cause it's an early game, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of them out there.
We definitely got Nightmare in the Dark. I've never spent much time on Snow Brothers, so I'm pretty keen to spend some time on that. Yeah, they do. Maybe that's where mine's headed. I was just going to take it home and let it burn away, try and burn away the smell, but I might find my house burnt down when I get back. Yeah, Miss Pacman's going to suit.
Yep.
Really fun. So again, if any of the other arcades want to join in, they can join. They can join in the event. They've just missed noms, but that's fine. And yeah, we'll get most of them on the floor. Adam has Splatterhouse at the minute. What else? I've got. Yeah, I need that 4-slot Neo Geo. I got to get rid of that smell.
Yeah.
I really do. Because we do have 2 Neo Geos
Yeah,
on the floor at the minute, but they're both on
Doors.
wizard pins.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so we need the 4-slot. We're gonna get a.
Was-
yeah.
Nightmare in the Dark was on the floor for a while. Is it still on
Yes.
the floor?
No.
No. Then he needs to get back on the floor.
Yeah.
Get rid of Burger Time.
Yeah. Well, it's on a pin.
Ah. Come on.
This is the
People
problem.
coming to
bro.
Netherworld.
Win
claim
all the
last-
pins.
Win,
For God's sake.
Win all
If
the Burger
someone
Time.
gets
They've been out there
these-
for years.
It has been out there for years. If someone can eat up all the Burger Time pins,
Yeah. Burger Time pins, Ghost and Goblin pins,
Puzzle Bobble.
Puzzle Bobble pins, all
Yeah.
the pins. There's been an arcade pin for quite some time.
yeah.
Are there any on the way?
There's 2.
2 on the way.
One of them is in the list.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Doing a reprint of Space Invaders pin. Very cool, very cool.
We have talked about archiving or doing vault editions of the pins. We might do that at some stage.
So, yeah, we've already seen.
Yeah, see, yeah, we might just vault them. We probably will. We'll change them a tiny bit, whether they have a gold or a silver tint to them, and we might
edition
revolt
pins.
some or vault some classics. I think we
Very
should.
cool.
Yeah, I think we should. But thank you, Australian Pinball Museum, for your noms. They're fantastic. Yeah, fun. I'm looking forward to Sunset Riders. I reckon.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to that. Ghouls and Ghosts as well. Raiden 2, I really love. I've been playing a bit of Miss Pacman lately, actually. I got like 40 odd the other day.
Oh, wow, that's good.
Playing
That's
that.
cool.
That's all right. What are you getting there, Synth Chemist? He's getting about 70 or something. I'll take 40. 42, I think it was. Shit. Yeah. So, and I don't know if you guys have seen, but we have created as part of ANZAP the Australia New Zealand Hall of Fame Australia and New Zealand Competitive Arcade Player of the Year. So we are now keeping a track of all of the competitive arcade events that people play. So Jerry, if you're listening, Australian Pinball Museum, if you run an arcade event of any kind, be it small, medium or large, and that arcade event has a head-to-head portion, so competitors compete in a head-to-head 2-player or 3-player or 4-player scenarios throughout, then it will be added to the Competitive Player of the Year software or spreadsheet, and we will find our Competitive Player of the Year. So Netherworld Arcade Clubs will go in. We've got the Costanza Cup coming up in a couple of weeks. We've got NBA Jam coming up in a couple of weeks. We've got Worms coming up. We have Boda. We have Kong Off. What are they doing at One Up? They do the Fight Club.
Fight Club, mate, every month they've got Fight Club.
BK does Fight Club. Actually, I should hit.
Their fighting comp.
Yeah, actually, I have to hit them up because it's for the calendar year. So, but I'll probably contact all the arcades in the next couple of weeks and suggest that they nominate a referee or an umpire, so to speak, for each venue and start logging our ANZAC Competitive Player of the Year. It's going to be great.
Very exciting.
Yeah. But very keen, very thrilled that Australian Pinball Museum wanted to come back. It's freaking great. And yeah, I think you're right. I think One Up, 89 and BK are going to give it a fair run.
Yep, Netherworld's really got
Netherworld
there.
is on the ropes,
cut
baby.
out for them. Yeah.
Absolutely on the ropes. So
It's the rope-a-dope. We want them to think. We've been playing Sunset Riders for years.
Yeah. It was our second choice, actually.
Yeah. So, funny thing is, so knowing that would be first cab off the rink, Netherworld, the team, we didn't actually come up with a second or third pick. So Jimmy quite cleverly came up with Netherworld's second and third picks of Karnov and Congo Bongo. I'm actually kind of disappointed they didn't come up. Game the System and their Game of the Month, they did Karnov a few months back, and within about 3 days, people broke the score and maxed it out.
Wow.
So,
Holy Lord, is that right?
Then it's a case of who would be the quickest to max it out.
I put Congo Bongo in because what event was it? Was that in the USA one? It was in the USA one.
Yeah, USA one, I believe.
I do recall at the end, I wasn't the only person that said, I hope I never play Congo Bongo again.
Every year there's usually one game that everyone says, I would happily never play this game ever again. It's usually it's Armadar. New Rally X was fun, but the music just scars you for life.
I have actually played Congo Bongo since, because Fox, we got a 60 one at home and Fox loves it.
And you've disowned your son.
Yeah. So Fox has moved out now.
It's a 59-1 now. You can play any game but Congo Bongo.
Yeah, Bomb Jack would have been awesome, man.
Yeah, Bomb Jack was in the first Battle of the Arcades of 2018.
Yeah.
So
we'll be using the USA software again. So we'll hit up John Barkley soon with a little rule change and get the games list up, give him plenty of notice. Get training, get those machines on the floor. Yeah. Same. Sure do.
Which game will be that game this year for everyone?
Yeah.
Space Invaders. Have fun.
Yeah. I am keen for some time on Magician Lord too.
Yeah, it's a game that I've only played it once or twice. I never really gave it a red hot crack. All I know is it's super hard when I did play it.
Yeah.
But it's one that I'd be keen to give going. Like I said, the soundtrack is banger. You at least have a good time while playing, even if you're not good at the game itself.
Yeah. Cool.
There's nothing I haven't really played Snow Bros much myself either, but I'm hoping that I might enjoy it more now that I've played Nightmare in the Dark a bit, because Nightmare in the Dark is a game that I didn't like at first either. Yeah. But I've really warmed up to it.
I love it. I love Nightmare in the Dark.
Yeah. Nightmare in the Dark has great music, great themes, like this looks great, plays great, it's a good fun game. It's pretty difficult as well. Rating 2's classic.
I don't know if Dave's watching, but Dave, there's a list, mate. The Netherworld Tech. I'd love to get a proper Raiden 2 board.
That's a surprise you don't have one.
Yeah, we might actually. Maybe we do from a previous
I think
event.
it was broken or something though.
Ah, was it? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Adam's just moved house, so not sure when we'll get our Splatterhouse, but I'm sure it will happen.
Oh, so it's in it for repairs, is it?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, the same as my Miss Pacman board, and
Ah.
yeah, and we're gonna get rid of the stinky Neo Geo, and
Yeah,
after
there's
that
a lot
we'll
of
be
work to be
fine.
done before we can start practicing.
Yeah.
In Netherworld.
When I picked up the Neo Geo, or Dave pulled apart all of the joysticks and buttons, and they were covered in like a brown mold.
Ooh.
And Dave never had it on in his house for very long, so didn't notice the smell. But here, after like a couple of hours of being on, it's just,
Being in the heat, yeah, once it really heats, once it warms up,
Oh my
once
God.
that tube warms up.
yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, Aaron. But yeah, very excited to get deep on this. And again, this is one of my favourite events of the year. Like every year I say the same thing, but love everything about doing this event. Hanging for 2 days, watching all the other streams, learning some new skills, playing some cool games, and yeah.
Will another team finally dethrone Team Netherworld?
I reckon this is the year.
This could be the year.
This is definitely the year.
Not that Netherworld will ever go down without a fight.
Cool.
But
All right.
I think it'll be a very even competition. Much more even competition this year.
Yeah.
Great
So is
games,
the
yeah.
so there's the American voter. Is there a window of years that you can choose games from? Or is it just generally where
I believe there
Or
is.
do they-
I think they might have made a rule that it had to be from.
do they do a nomination process, or the director just picks the games?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
might
John, maybe John just saw it. The
Yeah.
director just picks the game.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it has all, those players though. You know, they've always just been 80s players.
Yeah.
And they're more strict with their rules. Like it had to be games that every arcade had access to real hardware on.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, give or take maybe one or two holders were a lot more flexible with the nominations. What games can be played, as long as it's playable in MAME or a multi-board, you know, and doesn't require a special control panel like a steering wheel or light gun. It's fair game.
Cool. Well, we might wrap up the noms. We might.
Yep.
We'll press stop. We'll end this stream, and then later on Tyson might turn it back on for some burger time action in the arcade club tonight. Sound good?
Right. Alright.
Where are you headed tonight?
Oh, I've got a meeting tonight.
Yep.
Yeah. Very, yeah.
Well, fantastic. You look fantastic. I'm sure it'll go very
Thank
well.
you.
All right. Thanks, team. Thanks for the noms. Thanks for your involvement, and we'll see you in September.